Welcome back to Hello Nigeria. Now it's time for us to have our first conversation with our guest. Now this is a young woman who has decided to create impact with her life. She's the founder, CEO at Immerse Coaching Company, an online personal transformation bootcamp helping women launch a higher version of themselves. Now they have graduated over 2,500 women across 9 countries from its suite of programs since 2014. She's also a World Bank project facilitator, certified workplace personality profile analyst, and job evaluation analyst with the prestigious Thomas International. Her corporate career spans academic research, learning, development, management consulting, and social sector advisory in organizations including Human Capital Capacity Development, Phillips Consulting, and Ray Charles Consulting. Now, her profile is very voluminous, and if I were to read everything here, we'd probably not go home today. But please join me as I make welcome Debola Deji Kurunmi, popularly known as DDK. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you. Okay, so now can we also call you DDK?
Yeah, perfect.
let's go to the beginning of your career. You have a very impressive career.
Thank you.
What was the start of this, and what would you say are some of the things that helped you walk the path that you've walked?
Thank you. I would say that, so I started out not being certain about exactly what I wanted to do, but I always knew that I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to be a person who was touching my nation and the people in it in very significant ways. But I would say one of the strongest highlights of my career journey was at my very first organization after youth service, and that was at Human Capacity Development Consultants. The CEO is Bisola Lunge. I would say the biggest thing she did for me was not to consider me as a rookie. She was giving me roles at that time, such as facilitating for mid-level managers of banks, of all companies. So I would say that she put me on a path that uncovered my own skills very early, and it gave me the courage I needed to begin to discover myself.
Brilliant. And I'm really glad that you had that, go on for you, and you've gone ahead to pay this forward for in the lives of other women. So I'm going to look at the issue of mentorship. How important is it, really? Mentorship
is significant. It's significant. So what mentorship does for you is, I would say about 3 things that I believe are very powerful with mentorship. The first is that it validates your dreams. What you see in a mentor sort of confirms to you that what you desire for your future is possible. That vision that is burning in your heart, that dream that is sort of coming up alive in you can happen because you're seeing a person whose today looks like the future you anticipate. So that validation is an important part of humanity, is what keeps the thread of hope alive in everyone. And what you find is you usually gravitate in the direction of a person who looks like where you're going. So typically, you could see a world of achievers, a lot of successful people, but you don't want to be like every one of them. And that's one of the ways I also tell people to, it's something I tell them to pay attention to, because it gives you an idea, even if you're not clear yet about the type of future you're looking out for. So mentorship creates validation. You look at a person and you see that they're clearly on a journey you're interested to go on, and they're succeeding at it. The second thing that it does for you is it offers you shortcuts, and that's powerful. We sort of have the impression that life has to be tedious and you have to learn your own lessons, your own way and all of that. But some of the most powerful experiences that shape your future don't have to happen firsthand with you. So it creates shortcuts for you. You don't have to repeat the mistakes of those who've gone ahead of you. And they also give you opportunities that you could not have had based on your own natural experiences. The third thing that it does for you is it allows you to live in your future before you get there. Okay? So there is something about exposure. There's something mental exposure does to a human being. If you are dropped in an environment of affluence, of opulence, of opportunities, of no holds barred, of possibilities, of tremendous success, there's a way your mind is, the mind is an elastic phenomenon. There's a way it enlarges to accommodate that largeness of that dream, and it begins to create an abundance mindset. So people don't have a poverty mindset because they grew up in a poor background, or have an abundance mindset because they were raised by wealthy parents. They can also pick the mindsets based on the environments they're dropped. So if you roll with guys who are doing big stuff with their lives, it expands your mind and increases your sense of possibilities. So mentorship is critical, and it does a lot of great things for you.
And so far, mentorship, like, how many people do you think you can say you have mentored so far at this time?
So I like that question. about 3 years ago, I started to see that I was overwhelmed by the requests that were coming to me from young women to mentor them. And I started to see that at the end of the day, you're just one human being. You're just one young woman trying to also pick your own ropes, learn your lessons, but you still want to make a difference. And so actively from 2014, I started to see that if I created systems where I was putting my wisdom into materials that could go out without my physical presence, that was another strategic way of thinking about mentoring. So direct mentorship, which I've embarked on from university days, actively from 2004. So in the last 14 years, I won't want to put a number to it, but I know there have been at least 500 women that have sat under me one-on-one over a period, systematic, rigorous, deliberate. I currently run a Debola Initiative for Women. We've been on for 8 years. There are 350 partners spread out in 9 countries. So they are also directly mentored in a sense, you know, by that relationship that we have. But beyond that, I have Immerse Coaching Company. It has about 8 courses for women, you know, and we've graduated actually as at now almost 4,000 women since we started. I have Firebrand. It has sold out 4 times, almost sold out 4,000 copies now. It's out in the hands of different women who are seeking to make a difference with their lives. So I am rethinking my approach to mentoring. I'm saying if I find something is working in my own little way, can I convert it into online materials, into books, into programs, and get more people interacting with the wisdom that is changing my life without having them sit in the same room with me? So my time is definitely a lot more precious than it was even a few years ago, and I can't be with everyone in that sense, but I can put out things that can change their lives.
And if I'm correct, that is what some people call shadow mentorship.
Absolutely.
Where people get to study you from afar. Some people, like I would say, I have, let's say, Oprah Winfrey as a mentor.
Fantastic.
Because I would watch her videos and I would read about her. So you can have mentors from afar. Now let's look at those who want direct mentorship and look at practical steps in contacting a mentor. Some people don't know how to go about mentorship. You get a DM, someone saying, hello, excuse me, please, I want you to be my mentor.
My mentor.
You know, straight to the point.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, this person is not actually serious. When you are ready, come, let's talk.
Very well
So
said.
how would you advise a young woman or a young man who wants a mentor? First of all, they've identified that this person has the qualities or is on the path they want to walk. How would you advise them to go about this?
I love the question. I think it's brilliant. So like you, I'm barraged on social media, emails, WhatsApp, every day with people who are saying, I want you to mentor me. And that's a great desire. And rather than being irritated, it should also say to us that a good thing is happening, that the younger generation is interested to be raised. But here are a few things I would like to set as a few powerful ground rules for mentorship. The first is not to be socially motivated to seek a mentor. Do not be under pressure to feel a sense of belonging and follow a person just because your friend is, following that person. Don't be under that kind of pressure. And don't, look out for a mentor because they look great on social media. The lives that people have are quite different from how it's painted on Instagram. Instagram is a great platform and I love it, but you must be looking out for something beyond what is face value. So let's say you've now identified, based on your vision, your desires, and the future that you envisage for yourself, a certain type of man or woman in your career or in your career line or any other area of life that you find interesting and you want to follow. What I'd say first is look out for everything that they have said, that they have written, that they have done. Before contacting a person physically, ensure that you have followed them by interacting with their wisdom. Because mentorship is just about getting the wisdom, first of all, before saying, how can you answer my personal questions? So I do this all the time. It works like magic. When a person says, I want you to mentor me, I'm like, great, not a problem. So I give them 2 books, Following God's Plan for Your Life by Kenneth E. Hagin and Firebrand. I said, so you're going to read these books. We will review it every Friday. When we're done with that, we confirm that we can take our relationship to the next level. 90% of those who reach me fall off the cracks because of that filter. It's powerful. I love it. So first thing is get their material, start to interact with that, attend their seminars, listen to their messages, read their books, read their articles online, follow them, just be around them and begin to get a strong, and it even confirms if that's the person you really want to follow. The second thing is, if you now determine that I want to be in physical connection with this person, you must come with value. Many times, prodigies think about their mentor or prospective mentor as a person who brings value to them, but the relationship is not productive if you're not bringing value too. So you must come with something, and everyone has something. So you can look at their lives or their businesses and see an area where you are naturally gifted to support them, and you can make that proposition. In fact, you may not even start with saying, I want you to be my mentor. You could say, Olive, you're doing an amazing work, and some of the insights you share on TV, I think they should go into an ebook. I'm great at editing and proofreading. Can I transcribe everything you've ever said on TV? Are you going to say no? Very unlikely.
Definitely not.
You're like, what? Who is this person?
Definitely
so
not.
You bring value. You say, I want to do this for you. This is how I'm gifted, and you commit to it. The moment you do that, you're likely to get into the door, and they're going to find themselves asking you, what do you want? Why are you doing this? You know, so that's a great thing. Third big thing that I would say, and just, you know, close on that note, is that you must also come with a clear set of expectations. And there must be this, and I say that to mentors too, don't just be excited about the idea that someone thinks you're fascinating enough. You must have that debrief, that mentoring debrief conversation. And for those who sign on to my mentoring program, and we're opening another next year, we have this very long form to fill, because I want to know you and what you're looking out for. And I can even tell you from that form if you're the woman, if I'm the woman for you. So you should have that debrief conversation where you're saying, these are things I'm looking out for. And 1 year from now, this sort of person I hope to become, being mentored by you. Finally, mentorship is not a lifetime, you know, it's not marriage. So you can be with a mentor for a year and find that deal is done and you move on. Now maintain a good relationship with them.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Very well put, really.
Thank you.
Okay, so now let's talk about your relationship with NGOs as well. We know that you do a lot of work with NGOs, and you're trained professional NGOs as well. Tell us about it.
Thank you so much. So I run Ideation Hub Africa, which is arguably, you know, one of Nigeria's leading advisory businesses for non-profit professionals, social entrepreneurs, and public sector practitioners. So earlier in the year, the US government had awarded me as one of the young leaders from Africa on the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Nice.
And what he did for me was sort of validate the vision that I really carry for Nigeria. So here's why I do what I do through Ideation Hub Africa. I believe that because of the unique crisis that Africa faces in terms of inefficiencies of governance and markets, the third sector, people you call active citizens, social innovators, people who go into those rural areas, communities to create change in education, healthcare, energy and environment, gender advocacy, they're like the angels of the continent until Africa gets its governance right. You need assisted governments in that sense. You need support from people who feel the pain of the underserved regions and who can do anything to augment and cover for the failures of government in that sense. And that's why I'm passionately seeking to help this sector be built up in a way that it can close major gaps in society. So in simple terms, what I do with NGOs, social entrepreneurs, and government workers is to equip them to be able to do better work that closes the gap of inefficiencies of government. They go into the rural areas, they interact with the underserved regions, they work in communities, they see the needs, and they even put government on their toes in terms of accountability and justice. And
I mean, in more developed climes, they're like the third sector of the economy.
Exactly. So when I was on the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program, I was graciously put in the University of Minnesota, which and I think that's one of the best universities in the US. And when I was going out on these side visits to nonprofits, what I discovered was Minnesota had arguably one of the largest states that had nonprofits in them, or the state with the largest nonprofits in America. And they was, one of the things they were saying to us was they're so powerful to the government that they bring about 1/3 of the revenue of that state. You know, so it's a tremendous sector. NGOs are not just mediocres who didn't get a great job in banks or oil companies. They're burning with a passion. But I want to help them move beyond burning with a passion to working with incredible results. And those things require skills and expertise and toolkits. And that's why at the end of this month, 29th of this month, we're having development dialogue in the city of Lagos. And I really encourage anyone who is doing a great work for social impact to be at the dialogue. It's in Lagos. You can get online, check it out, and just join us. The conversations are powerful. And in the last 4 years, we've brought the biggest thought leaders, to the dialogue.
And so for how has it been working with the NGOs exactly? I know you've explained that you've worked with them, you've helped. What have been the changes so far that you have seen since you started this with the NGOs?
Thank you very much. So we currently have an organically grown community of over 5,000 practitioners since we started in 2015. Not just emails. I mean, people who believe in the vision, who are part of the community, who receive our materials, who have attended our programs at a time or the other, who have been connected to mentors, okay? And for the dialogue itself, which is our annual conference, the Development Dialogue, we've had almost 1,000 of these guys, NGOs and social entrepreneurs. So I would say 3 things I would consider as our direct input to the development sector so far. Number 1 is seemingly intangible, but is where we need to fix the crisis first. And it's the fact that we are changing the orientation. We're changing the mindset. It's the biggest work the sector requires. We are attacking the mediocrity orientation and the feeling that I always have to get things for free. And that's why you won't see an NGO investing in themselves and in their members of staff, to develop the skills. So we're tackling that. Second thing we're doing is we're providing collaborative hubs. So more than ever before, NGOs are not working in silos. When they connect at our dialogues, people say, oh, you work in education, we should be together. You work in gender advocacy, we should be together. And we've had 11 businesses, new businesses, spring up out of those collaborations.
Oh, that's amazing. I think this is something that many people should key into, most especially those who are functioning in this third sector. We're hoping it to become our third sector
exactly
soon. So the development hub is happening when?
The development dialogue
is
happening Thursday, 29th November, this very month at Zone Tech Park.
All right. How can people contact you to find out more information?
So get online, Dev Dialogue, DEV Dialogue @org.
All right.
www.devdialogue at devdialogue.org.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.